Ladies and gentlemen, your favorite Zionist prince back to you with another one. I'm Tyler Traveling Clat. We're looking at a clip of Tommy Robinson talking to us today about the Jews. Let's take a look.
Received a lot of criticism from the right for standing with Jews. Jews love you for it, not least because there's like no one else to cling to. If you're a Jew in this country, there's 200,000. There's hardly any Jews left in the country, and most Jews now they're looking at you and going, "Thank God, there's someone who wants England, is supporting England, but also the Jewish people who are English." And it would be a lot easier for you to just not speak about that. Is there an extent of it just being my enemy's enemy is my friend, the enemy of the Muslims in a sense, that's my friend?
So I grew up in Luton, and as I grew up, I'll give an example. I've done this before. I went to, there's a Jewish covenant, with all the ultras. The
Hasidics.
The Hasidics,
yeah.
out by Lily. And that's when we were kids, we were little shits, yeah? When I was 11, 12, 13. So, and we used to go and people would get chases. And I didn't even know that they were Jews, yeah? But you'd get chases off whoever you could get chases off. Chases off throwing stuff, knocking on doors.
Oh, and if there's a fellow with a beard and a hat and
pretty
all
weird
that,
living in the woods. Pretty weird living in the woods, yeah? So everyone go down there. I remember we was there once and my mate, who's a Muslim, was letting off a flare gun, letting off flares. And he said, my mum would be so proud of me. And I looked and went, what? I said, my mum would fucking kill me. Why would your mum be proud? He goes, Jews, fucking Jews, yeah? I was like, and I didn't know much at this point. Then, and this is one example. Then there was Jewish families remembering the Holocaust in Luton Town Centre. They had to barricade themselves inside the town hall as the groups of Mujahideen, al-Mujahideen, which wasn't a prescribed terrorist organisation, which now is, come and started attacking. And there was little kids all crying. The Luton Islamic Centre, which is the main radical jihadist mosque in the town, which was where Khalid Massoud, the Westminster Bridge attacker, he was registered as a school teacher there. It's where the Stockholm bomber went. This was a major playing mosque in Luton, the Wahhabist Salafist mosque. That's the old synagogue. Yeah? I've watched, there's no Jews left in Luton. You can walk, I'll tell you what, get a skull cap and go walk through Berry Park, see how you get on. Yeah? It's a no-go zone for Jews. So I've seen all of this. And then I understand and I listen to, for example, Hamas on October 7th. On October 8th, what did they say? We're not coming for Israel, we're coming for London, we're coming for New York, we're coming for Rome. Their idea, Hamas are ISIS. How do you negotiate with Hamas? Hamas's manifesto, one of the articles in their manifesto, so take the Labour Party, because Hamas are the Labour Party, there's not much difference, but Hamas's manifesto says the final day of judgment will not come until every Jew is dead. Not every Zionist. Some bullshit about Zionism. It's got nothing to do with Zionism. It's got nothing to do with Israel. Mein Kampf is 7% anti-Jew hatred. Mein Kampf, Hitler's book. The Quran's 11, right? Take out Israel out of the equation. Muslims hate the Jews. Muhammad hated the Jews. Qayuba. I remember watching, and there was a mass rally coming out of Luton, and they're all marching about Palestine, and they've all got balaclavas on, they're all chanting Qayuba, and I was thinking, what are they talking about? This when I was getting my head into it all. This is going back probably 15 years before the EDL. And I'm looking, and they're marching and they're chanting about a Jewish tribe. So only when I started getting my head in and I read the biography of Ibn Ishaq, the biography of Muhammad, which is Muhammad's life by Ibn Ishaq. It's the most recognised and renowned biography of the Prophet Muhammad's life. And 600 Jews surrendered. And they surrendered themselves, yeah? And they surrendered and he lined all the men up and he pulled their pants down. And again, this is important, yeah? Because whatever Muhammad did is how the Peshawar school attack, do you remember that in Pakistan?
Yeah, I think so.
Exactly what they done. Yeah, so when they attacked the school, they pulled their pants down. Whoever started puberty, they were beheaded. So Muhammad beheaded 600 Jews in one day. This is their Jesus. This is what people need to understand. Yeah, this ain't a man of peace. This ain't a holy man. This is a warrior and a barbarian. And after beheading the leader of the tribe, yeah, he took his wife Sophia that night. This is insane, yeah. And when I talk to Muslims about this, I say, how can you agree with this? He took Sophia, and this isn't my opinion. He took Sophia that night and he married her. So he raped her. He beheaded her husband, beheaded her whole family, and then raped her that night. Like, what are we talking about here? And this is the man that you think's perfect. And when they're marching, Qayuba, and they're chanting, that's what they're chanting about. Him killing the Jews. It's like, this is all interacted. It all plays a part. So I don't see that it's about and when we look at Israel, I went to Israel. Yeah. I went to the camps. I went to Bethlehem. I went to a Fatah-controlled refugee camp. I paid young Muslims to take me. I risked my life. When I went there, I went with my mate from school. I said, we can't just come and listen to the Jews. Yeah, we need to listen to the Muslims. So let's go into a camp. So we paid these young Arabs and we went into a Fatah-controlled refugee camp. And I've got video of it. I'm walking around and I'm like, who's she? Because they've got all murals on all the sides of the houses. She blew up a bus in Israel. So she's a fucking terrorist. She's a martyr. Yeah, so I'm going through and talking about it all, understanding. And the Muslim lad kept telling me he was a 4th-generation refugee. I really got on with him. When I got back to Israel, to the safe zone, because in Israel, there's all parts, do not pass here. Yeah? When we went there, I thought, that's where we need to go.
Yeah.
We need to see what's going on. But I risked my life to go there, and then I have some liberal mug in England talking to me about Palestine. I think, have you ever even been there? Have you ever spoke to them? Have you actually ever set foot? Because I went into the camp, spent a day with them all, playing running around with all the little kids. I felt my heart bled for them. Yeah? It works. And what the refugee said is, never fund free Palestine in your country. He goes, the money doesn't come to us. He goes, I'm a 4th-generation refugee. My children will be 5th, theirs will be 6th, theirs will be 7th. We've had twice as much money than Germany after the World War to rebuild this place, and it hasn't been rebuilt. We haven't even got a park. Because they bring politicians here, and it works, because I said to my mate, I want to give them money. When we left, I thought, I want to help them kids. Yeah? I want to help the kids. And what I then found, as I'm walking around the camp, is that the Palestinian Authority, because I kept saying to him, asking questions, who's oppressing you? What do I think he's going to say? Israel. Palestinian Authority. I'm like, who's the Palestinian Authority? They're the ones that govern us. He goes, and what happens here? So, and it changed my mind on a lot of things, is if someone leaves this camp and murders an Israeli, and I said a Jew, he goes, no, an Israeli. He kept correcting me. Doesn't matter if they kill a Muslim Israeli or a Jewish Israeli. If they leave the camp and kill an Israeli, their family get money for the rest of their life from the Palestinian Authority. So then I looked at the Palestinian Authority. Who funds the Palestinian Authority? We do. British taxpayers' money. So we're paying our money to go to the Palestinian Authority to pay mercenaries to leave the refugee camps to go and kill Israelis. And then they get rewarded. So, and I said to my mate Dean, I said, I've got 3 kids. He's got kids. You'd do anything to help your kids. How do you get out of this camp? Go kill an Israeli. Go kill an Israeli. So, and as I walked around, I didn't realise how many Muslims there are in Israel.
Or die trying, by the way. Kill an Israeli or die trying.
Forget these zones. Dispute. Actually,
20% of
2
Israel.
million. Actually, in the state of Israel, and they're all living pretty happily. And it surprised me. We went past. There was a video. I had an I Love Israel T-shirt on from a tourist shop. I had a Mossad one as well from a tourist shop. Yeah? So I had an I Love Israel, and I saw about 2,000 young Arabs. And they're doing camel racing. And I said, stop the car. And we stopped the car and walked over in the middle of this field. Right? There's lads with Kalashnikovs, machine guns. Yeah. And I'm walking in, and Trump had just been elected. And we're walking thinking, what's going to happen here? Yeah? No one batted an eyelid. And then as I'm leaving, there's Jews sitting having a picnic. So there's 1,000 young Muslim men. And there's Jews having a picnic. And no one's batting an eyelid. I thought, if there was 1,000 young Muslim men in an East London park and there were visible Jews sitting having a picnic, they're getting it.
So the suggestion then would be there is something about political Islamism that we're seeing in Britain and Europe, but there is other kinds of Islam that can exist in the modern world. We're starting to see bits of that in Qatar, Saudi Arabia. And
yeah, but looking at Qatar, Saudi Arabia, I think the king's taking it in the right direction. But to compare to Qatar, Qatar spent £750 million, £750 million, Islamising Europe. They funded the ghettos in France. They've just done another 10 billion for some bullshit. It's all money. They've just declared 10 billion. But they fund the extremists, Salafists.
That's right, yeah.
They fund the problem. They create the problem.
The UAE then, Dubai.
The UAE have a stance on radical jihadist mindsets, and they ban them. So Hizb ut-Tahrir, who are prescribed in the United Arab Emirates, are in every university in Britain. Yeah?
So that's a type of Islam that is existing currently in the United Arab Emirates.
But I wouldn't say that's Islam. I'd say the United Arab Emirates is a business, and they know that the future of their business relies on British and Western tourism. They're becoming a tourist destination, and they know that if that's the only future they've got. And also, they understand that you can't allow this. Now, the difference with Britain is if you go back to the 80s and 70s, because we wanted a Mujahideen strong force to fight the Russians in Afghanistan, we gave base to many of these groups. We allowed them to be in London. The Muslim Brotherhood, they've got offices. So the terrorist groups that are banned in all the Islamic countries have got offices in our country. You can't make it up. And then we're now reaping we're now reaping the problems from allowing 20 to 30 years of this radical jihadist mindset. We don't try and stop it. We're not stopping the funding. We're not stopping the extremist preachers coming in from Saudi, coming in from Pakistan. Literally one day they're in a cave in Afghanistan talking shit about jihad, and the next day they're in a mosque in Luton.
And by the way, this is the demographic switch that's happening. There's been a few imams from the Khalij to the Hijaz region that have spoken about this. Europe imported the trash from the Arab world. Actually, it's the kind of people in the Arab world that they would have jailed and or killed at this point. And when I say the Arab world, I mean specifically the Gulf countries. Many of these Gulf countries have been open about this. It's like, you guys literally imported our garbage for the fact that you wanted cheap labor, or you made these pacts in different countries. But like in Saudi and in Emirates and Bahrain and Oman, these countries, they don't really tolerate Salafism. Wahhabism is questionable, but they don't really tolerate Salafism. They don't tolerate the jihadi mentality anymore. Like, pretty much at all. Anybody who believes in that stuff is doing it in hiding or is extremely discreet about it. And what we've had is a demographic switch where all that garbage, all those really, really terrible people who believe in this horrible backwards ideology have now moved to the West. They live in the UK. They live in Spain. They live in Portugal. They live in France. And they're working together to slowly take over Europe. And I think, by never in a million years would I ever say I support the destruction of the West. But there is a side of me that looks at the way that the West is governing itself. And this is, I'm not saying this to shit on Western people who are watching this video. God forbid, that's not what I'm talking about. Your governments have backstabbed you so hard. And it doesn't seem like some of the governments in the Middle East who are waking up to the fact that we want a better future here are deciding, let's build a coalition, let's be stronger, let's be better than the West, and let's own the world. Let's make this region the most powerful region in the world. And I think that there's some visionaries in the Middle East. I'd consider myself a part of that visionary community who see the fact that we can be a powerhouse here in the Middle East. And as long as we work together, put our differences aside, we have the most oil in the world, we have the best technology or the technological development outside of, Eastern Asia. We have incredible historical sites, the best potential for tourism in the world, the most incredible food. If you were to break down the Middle East from North Africa and stretching all the way east to Iran, even the borders of Afghanistan, if we were able to come together and continue influencing this de-radicalization, as the West sort of starts flailing and falling, we could potentially take over as the most powerful region in the world. It's something I think about very often. And again, this isn't me hoping for the destruction or the fall of the West, but at some point you got to read the writing on the wall, and you see like the Western leaders just don't care for the West. And unfortunately, many Western people, Tommy Robinson is a dime a dozen. You don't see many of him. So like you see the people of the West aren't really fighting for the West anymore either. So those people of the Middle East, we kind of look around and we're like, hey, listen, are you literally just giving us the spotlight now to be able to fix this shit? Or giving us the spotlight to take over? Are you handing us the baton and saying, here, you be the next region, you be the next powerhouse? Now the question is, will our leaders in Syria and Lebanon and Jordan and Egypt and in other parts of North Africa, will they be able to put their shit to the side for a second and be like, all right, let's step up to the plate. Let's not be pieces of shit for a moment. Let's look to the Khalijis and to the Hijazis for some inspiration, and let's be great. Let's see. Let's see how it unfolds. That's the question. I'll see you guys in the next one. I love you a long time. Goodbye, Klats. If you believe in my content and want to support me, just know your help is needed. There's a bunch of great ways to support me, being PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or joining my Patreon community down below. Patreon is the best way to support my channel, and you'll get a bunch of cool perks depending on what tier you join. Another great way to support me is by buying my merchandise on thetravelingclat.com. I regularly drop new merch designs like this beautiful hat, or this amazing shirt, where you can support the channel and get something cool for yourself. I also have an amazing Discord community with people from all over the world. Thank you so much for your support.